The information provided on this podcast is for general informational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your qualified health provider with any questions you may have. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you have heard on this podcast. Reliance on any information provided here is solely at your own risk.
Welcome. This is Birth, Baby. Your hosts are Sierra Morgan and Samantha Kelly. Sierra is a birth doula, hypnobirthing educator, and pediatric sleep consultant.
Samantha is a birth doula, childbirth educator, and lactation counselor. Join us as we guide you through your options for your pregnancy, birth, and postpartum journey. Thank you to our listeners for your continued support. If you enjoy our content, please be sure to like, follow, rate, and review wherever you listen to podcasts. This helps us gain visibility to other people that could benefit from listening in. Hello, everyone. Today we have Lori Post with us. She is a certified postpartum doula and baby-wearing consultant, and she's a breastfeeding educator and parenting coach. She is passionate about empowering and uplifting families as they welcome a new child into their family and embrace their parenthood journey. I absolutely love that you say uplift there because that is the name of your company too. So thank you so much for being here with us today to chat about all things baby wearing.
I am so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
We are really excited to talk about this. This is one that I'm actually super excited about because I've been Googling baby carriers and trying to figure out which one I'm supposed to get because I've seen a million in my time. I've had a million different ones for my older kids, but now I'm I don't know, maybe I should get something fun this time. There's so many pretty ones and cool ones and patterned ones. And I don't know, I need some good stuff. So,
and Lori, Samantha is up to no good. Samantha's up to no good. She had us do a fertility series before she told me that she was going to be trying to get pregnant. So she's in cahoots. And then she's like, we should do a baby registry series. So here you are on our baby registry series to help Samantha fill her baby registry for her upcoming baby.
I'm really happy to help you fill that registry.
We're so excited for it.
And as postpartum doula, I'm happy to give lots of tips across the board on that too. So feel free to reach out.
Oh, I will. You know I will. Okay, well, let's dive in. So when it comes to baby carriers, there's 1 million different kinds out there. There's just no shortage of options. So what are your favorite types of carriers? And I feel like there's some that are really great at different ages and stages. So what places do you find them being most helpful in?
This is such a good question. And you're 100% correct that some of them shine at different stages and ages. So first of all, I have yet to meet a baby carrier type that I don't love. That I haven't been oh, I get why this is useful for this circumstance, or this person. Do I have my own personal favorites? Absolutely. But in general, I do think that it's really important to be thinking about yourself in this and the ages and stages of the babies that you're wearing, right? And so, for instance, just saying newborns, I'm personally a super big fan of the stretchy wrap for the newborn stage. I really love that it's snuggly and soft and baby gets all cozied up in there, and it can be super helpful for skin to skin time, which I could talk for hours on that too. Mm-hmm. But I love that one personally for the newborn stage. That said, I'd like to note that the ring sling and even some buckle carriers can be utilized in the newborn stage. And in fact, a lot of the other doulas in the community often reach for the ring sling for their clients' babies too. So those are the ones I kind of really like. With the buckle ones, you have to be really, really careful because there are a lot that are marketed as a one size fits all deal. But especially with those teeny tiny newborns, it's not a super great fit. And I think it's important to remember and to think about with all baby products, a 1-day-old baby is very different from a 1 week old baby, which is very different from a 1 month old baby, which is very different from a 3 month old baby. It's very different from a 9 month old baby, which is very different from like an 18 month old baby, right?
Yeah.
And so I think it's really unrealistic to expect one carrier or any baby product to do all of those things well. And so I think it's really important to know that. So newborns, my personal favorite is the stretchy wrap, but definitely want to give a mention to the ring sling and some buckle carriers. I'll occasionally pull out my Becco Gemini with my clients. For that 3 to 4 month age, when they're really starting to like be able to see more and developmentally are getting ready to like push off and roll and do those sorts of things, I really, really love the made eyes for that time period. I really like the ring sling for that stage because at that point, their eyesight is getting a little better. Lots of big developmental growths between that 3 and 5 month stage. And the ring sling gives the opportunity to kind of shimmy baby over onto the side and the hip a little bit, but still gives full support to their spine all the way up. And it gives them the opportunity to see. It gives the parents to kind of have a little more open real estate in the front. But if babies get overwhelmed or tired, they can still kind of curl up and into you. And then as we're reaching that like 4 to 6 month stage, my super duper personal favorite is buckle carriers at that point. So a lot of times people reach for buckle carriers because they think they're going to be the easiest option because it has clips. And the clips give this really audible, like, very sensory safe sound. And you're like, this must work.
Yes.
But buckle carriers really don't start to shine until closer to that 4 to 6 month mark when baby is like a little bit sturdier, a little bit fuller, and has a little bit more support. So I really love the buckle carriers for that point. And then right around 8 and 9 months, babies start getting real independent. They're like, excuse me, you should put me down. And then they're like, oh, wait, no, I didn't want to be put down. And so this is one of those stages that I really start seeing the ring sling come back into place because it's a quick up and down, quick up and down. And then also those tushy seats that people use.
Those are
we
so
can start
cool.
kind of utilizing those. Now, those are not a hand-free option. So I do not love those with the smaller babies or the less sturdy babies. But as we're reaching like 9 months a year, I think that they're totally fine. And then as we're moving into that like 12 months to 2 year stage, where most people are like, I'm not going to wear my baby when they're old. They did not meet my babies who were running at that age and needed some cozy comfort and containment. But once we get kind of past that year-old mark, I really do love the buckle carriers and the woven wraps as well. And woven wraps are kind of unique in that they can be used for any of these stages. They provide the support for any of the stages and can be used on the front and the hip and the back as well. And I think that's kind of the other reason why I like the buckle carriers for the slightly older stages, because you can use them on the front, but more importantly, you can use them on the back. And that's the kind of key at that point, because I'm real short, as y'all know. You are both tall and graceful. I'm kind of the opposite.
I'm not graceful.
When my babies are like 10 months old, they're like here in any carrier because I don't have any real estate. So I love to back carry once they kind of got a little bit older. So yeah, a lot of like different ages and stages and thinking about when you're going to be utilizing the carriers.
Maybe you can like send us a cheat sheet for that. Maybe you can send us a cheat sheet so that we can put that on the little thing for people to remember in the show notes or something.
And I'll do that to my website too. I've got it kind of broken down quite a bit on my website as well. But yeah, this is the thing that I spend a lot of time talking to clients and potential clients about.
I think it's so tricky. It's interesting. I never thought about using the ring sling for an older baby, but I had like it was a buckle ring sling because I found it at some like thrift store and that was really great for me. Yeah. But when I had 2 that were very little, I had 2 under 2 and I had one that I was like trying to breastfeed and one that I was trying to keep from destroying my house. And so I would wear my sling a lot while I was feeding so I could have one arm on the baby somewhat. I never really felt like I could let go because it was just, I don't know, it's there. I felt like I had to
I'm going to actually take that opportunity to just note that like feeding in a carrier is possible, but it is often not hands-free. So you should not feel guilty. And in fact, I love that you validated your own feelings and concerns and followed your instincts to be like, I'm going to keep my hand on this baby. So I appreciate everything you just said as an educator.
I appreciate that. I love being validated.
I am actually really surprised to hear you say that ring slings are still something that are recommended, because I actually thought that they weren't. I remember I was a nanny at like 20 years old for 5 kids, and the youngest were a set of twins. And I had them in ring slings when I was, or a ring sling when I was in the grocery store, and had the other 3 on the cart. And people were probably like, why does this 20-year-old have 5 kids? But the thing is that the babies are often really low in those ring slings. So I know that there's a rule, and we're about to ask you about some safety stuff, but they're not really kissable in there, are they?
They
so can you talk
really
about
kissable?
Yep, okay, so talk about it. What are some of the safety?
We'll talk about that in just a minute. I know that's one of the things y'all had mentioned, but yeah, absolutely with a ring sling. And if it's the time frame I'm thinking of, I do think there was we called it the wild, wild west of baby wearing days. And there was some not great examples out there. But yes, ring slings are 100% totally, absolutely, completely safe to use.
Okay, cool. I'm glad to hear that. So what are some of those safety aspects that you think that parents need to know when researching different types of carriers?
This is a really important question for a lot of reasons. Noted earlier that we want to make sure that we are getting the correct size of carrier for the baby. So that's always my first thing that I check. Is the carrier I'm getting the correct size for the child that I will be wearing? Also, some things to look at, and you have been doing a bang-up job of this already, Samantha. I like to Google the carrier itself and be like, tell me more. I look at instructional videos. I look to see like if any like social media people or others have done videos on them, and see how the carrier actually functions and works. I think that's really important when you are sitting down to choose a carrier, making sure that it works. You want to make sure that the pricing feels legit. Like, does this feel inexplicably low? I would definitely be doing some extra Googling if something feels inexplicably low.
So maybe not buying carriers off of like Temu.
I wouldn't. I'm typically looking for making sure that like they do have product registration, and that they meet ASTM standards and things like that. But for me, beyond those things, the most important thing is really making sure that it is the correct size and that you are utilizing the carrier correctly. And so it's definitely one of those things that I spend probably 85% of my baby wearing talking about when I'm talking with clients or I'm doing group discussions or workshops. What we call it in the baby wearing community is called visible and kissable. And the BCIA, which is the Baby Carrier Industry Alliance, recently put out a brochure that I have on my website that kind of details some of the things to keep an eye out for when you are utilizing a carrier. So the visible and kissable is the keywords here. And just like any other device we put babies in, be it a car seat, a rocker, a bouncer, a swing, we always want to make sure that we are maintaining that airway. And we can see their little nose and their little mouths. So visible is talking about making sure that as the caregiver wearing the baby, we can always see their nose and mouth. And in terms of protecting that airway, I also always like to make sure that when they're relaxing, their head is turned sideways and maybe tipped up just a little tiny bit. We used to tell people to check for space between their chin and chest. We used to say 2 fingers, but everybody's fingers are different sizes. So just making sure that baby's chin is just tipped up just a tiny bit can be really helpful. So that's the visible part of that. And then the kissable part is that baby is at a kissable level. So you can easily kiss the top of their head. And what that means is that baby's head is going to end up at kind of just below those clavicles. So as noted, I don't want them up in my face. Even though their heads are a little softer, not fully developed, if they headbutt you in the mouth, it hurts. So we want to make sure that about that clavicle level is where their head is going to be at. So you're not straining to kiss the baby's head. So up here in the visible and easily kissable position. The other parts of this with baby wearing that I always like to note is we really like the baby's weight to be on their bottoms. And so sometimes when people are wearing their newborns, you all know, newborns are in like a deep fetal curl, which is really hard to get with a plastic doll, by the way. And so sometimes I see people put babies' feet kind of tucked under like that. So it's really important that the carrier is supporting baby's weight and their weight is on their bottom, and that it is snug enough that that baby is staying in that visible and kissable position.
That's super helpful.
So those are kind of the key points. So going back to that ring sling, a lot of times with the ring sling, it can get a little tricky. You do have to.
Well, I had them cradled. I mean, I had them like under an armpit.
I remember those days.
So then I found out that wasn't safe way later on. I was like, oh my gosh, praise God that nothing ever happened to these sweet baby girls.
You don't know. And we're all doing that. And that's exactly why they started putting some standards in place, because people didn't know. And that's why educators became a thing, like myself, because people didn't know. And instead of getting help, they would feel a little scared or a little afraid and a little ashamed sometimes, just like you said. And we would rather they feel confident, because baby wearing is such an incredible tool across the board for parents. So I really want people to feel confident in wearing their babies. So yeah, the visible and kissable. We're not joking about that. Those are the key things.
Which is probably part of why, when you're talking about feeding in a carrier for parents who are planning on nursing, you kind of feel like you want to have a hand on them, because you do, like, I don't know about the majority of new parents, but if I'm nursing a child, I cannot kiss down there. Everything hangs a little bit lower these days.
When you're using a carrier for nursing, you are lowering baby down to about nipple level so that they can latch on, because nobody wants to be trying to reach everything up here. Yeah, that's not going to work. So you do lower baby a little bit down when nursing in the carrier. As soon as they are done feeding, we're going to bring them right back up to that visible and kissable position. Just like you said, like, you monitor the baby the whole time, and it's not always a hand-free experience. And if I'm being real or honest, even as a baby wearing educator, I couldn't get one of my babies to feed in a carrier to save my life. It did not work. And so if it is not working for you, that's okay too. Like, I had to sit down and like nurse my baby somewhere else, and that was okay. But my other one went along with it. They were on a ride. They were here for it. But
I could never baby wear, because I could never figure it out and feel safe enough. And my husband was the baby wearing king, and he didn't even want to get rid of it when he was like 8 months old. I was like, we don't need this thing anymore. He goes, we're going on a trip. We totally need it. And he wore him through the airport. He was like, this is great.
Love it.
But some people will never be comfortable with it, and others feel super comfortable, and that's totally fine.
I think it's really important to listen to yourself and listen to your intuition. If you're not feeling comfortable with it, reposition baby or take a break completely. And then also going back to like a 1-month-old baby is different from like 9-month-old baby. Just because it didn't work the first week, it's okay to try again at 1 month or 4 months or 9 months or 12 months, whatever is the works for you. Because it's a completely different baby at that point, which we all hate to talk about, but unfortunately, developmentally, it's true. And so I always tell parents that if it's not working, don't stress yourself out about it. Give it a couple of weeks or a couple of months and try again.
We're grateful that there's a lot of options for keeping our babies safe when we're out and about and trying to get things done. But sometimes baby carriers are real clutch.
Listen. So important, because I too had 2 under 2, and we're a big hiking family. So those babies were in carriers all the time. And then when I had my second, that baby lives in a carrier.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Second and third babies. I'm sure this third baby is going to absolutely live in a carrier because I'm busy. I don't have time. So when we're talking about specific carriers, are there specific ones that you like, maybe for people who potentially have a lower budget? Because I've seen some carriers that are like $400 or $500. And then there are also the carriers you can get at like Target that are a much lower end. So are there specific carriers that you really like, maybe in kind of some different price points?
So I feel very, very strongly that you do not have to spend $400 on a carrier. I'm flat out, period, end of story. And I also need to note that I don't think you need to own 1,200 carriers.
Yeah.
Maybe one or two. And I would prioritize spending maybe a little bit more on a carrier that you know you're going to utilize for slightly longer. So either the buckle carrier or the woven wrap, even a May-dye, those I'm willing to spend a little bit extra on because those have a much longer longevity for small children in general. And then go ahead and buy secondhand. Accept the hand-me-downs.
Yeah.
We have reached a
on
point
everything.
What was that?
I said, yeah, on everything.
Yes.
Literally.
Listen, but seriously. Seriously. Except the car seat. Because my car seat tech brain is like, not that. But we are at a point in baby wearing where the carriers have been on the market long enough at this point and are solid enough that we are getting really good hand-me-downs. And in fact, the Center for Baby-Wearing Studies actually has a blog post on what to look for in a used carrier. And so I'll try to send you guys the link for that. Maybe you can link it below. I'll definitely have it on my website as well. But I think that secondhand can be a really good way of getting a solid carrier in a decent price point. Or accept the hand-me-downs, because what didn't work for your brother's best friend's sister-in-law might be the perfect carrier for you. So
yeah. I think one of the coolest things that I've discovered, maybe this was around 6 years ago, last time I was building a registry, but I don't even know. But the Baby List, not sponsored, but would love to be, Baby List has an option when you're adding things to your registry where you can say open to secondhand. So as I'm like adding all of these like really cool things that I want, I'm like, please give me secondhand. That's so much better. Don't go buy new and add to the trash pile of out there. But let's do secondhand. And when I was a, new mom with my first, and I was really, budget friendly, we'll say I was looking for the budget friendly options. I was able to find a really great carrier in my Buy Nothing group, my local Buy Nothing group. And I got one there. And the thrift store, there's like kid to kid thrift stores or Once Upon a Child, all those different ones. They tend to have so many different carriers there. And some of them are like barely used because somebody's baby didn't like it or somebody didn't like it. And they're trying to just recoup a little bit of the cost. So I love those things. And I'll say, even as a mom of older kids, I still go to those places to find everything.
Same. So much same. Also with baby carriers, one of the really extra cool things about buying secondhand is that the carriers are already broken in.
Yeah.
And so they're already like buttery soft. All the buckles like move smoothly and aren't getting
You're not going to pinch your finger as you're trying to clip things behind your back.
Yes, you can reach things. Yeah. So I'm a big fan.
Love it.
I am willing to spend a little bit more on that like carrier that I really love and is of good quality and I have fallen in love with. That's going to last for a while. But I'm also here for the secondhand market. Just making sure that if you do that, you make sure that you are checking over the entire carrier, making sure that all the clips actually buckle, all the stitching is still in place, and looking to see, what the manufacturer did, like making sure the fabric isn't worn through and things like that. Because I have seen a few things where I have personally purchased them just to get them off the market. So I'm like, this was a very loved carrier. And nobody else needs to be loved in this carrier.
Well, this has been
we'll make some pillows with it.
Yes.
This has been super duper helpful. Can you tell people where they can find you if they want to learn more? And we will have it in the show notes too.
Yeah, you can find me at upliftsparenting.com. you can email me at upliftparenting@gmail.com. And I'm also on YouTube and sometimes on Instagram.
Perfect. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Lori. It's been awesome talking with you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And definitely reach out, Samantha. We'll get you all squared away.
Oh, I will be. Thank you for joining us on Birth, Baby. Thanks again to Longing for Orpheus for our music. You can look him up on Spotify. Remember to leave a review, share, and follow wherever you get your podcasts. See you next week.